Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not simply a book about money. It is a psychological exploration of how our beliefs shape our financial destiny. Robert Kiyosaki grew up between two worlds. One father was his biological father, highly educated, hardworking, and respected. He believed that academic success leads to job security. Yet, despite his intelligence, he was often under financial stress, constantly depending on salary and hoping for stability. The other father was his friend's dad, a businessman with no formal education, but with a deep understanding of how money behaves. He taught Robert that wealth does not come from working for money, but from learning how to make money work for you. He believed in building things that outlive the hours you personally work. Through these two dramatically different influences, Robert discovered that your mindset, not your income, defines your financial future. The true difference between these two fathers is not money, it is identity. Poor Dad finds security in acceptance, good grades, a stable job, a predictable paycheck. He fears stepping outside the system because the system has become his safety. Rich Dad finds security in competence, knowledge, assets, and strategy. He does not fear losing a job because he never depended on one. His confidence comes not from external approval, but from internal capability. When Rich Dad tells Robert that the rich do not work for money, most people misunderstand. He is not saying that rich people do not work. He is saying they choose work that creates systems, ownership, and assets. Poor Dad sees income as something external, handed from employer to employee. Rich Dad sees income as something internal, created through ideas, networks, and initiative. For one, the paycheck is the master. For the other, the paycheck is just a tool. A central principle of the book is the difference between assets and liabilities. On paper, a big house looks like success. Emotionally, it feels like success. But financially, if it takes money out of your pocket each month, it is not success. It is dependency. Assets are freedom. They generate income even when you are not present. The rich accumulate assets first. The poor accumulate appearances. The most ignored lesson in the book is psychological. Poor people are controlled by their emotions. Rich people manage their emotions. Poor Dad's decisions are driven by fear. Fear of failing, fear of losing, fear of looking foolish, fear of uncertainty. Rich Dad's decisions are guided by curiosity and courage. Emotionally, the rich are not fearless. They are trained at tolerating discomfort. They move forward while others freeze. This is why Rich Dad believes financial education matters more than academic education. Schools teach facts. Life requires judgment. Money requires understanding risk, timing, and opportunity, none of which are taught in traditional education. Rich Dad teaches that failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the tuition you pay to become successful. One of the most important implications of the book is about responsibility. Poor Dad expects systems to protect him: companies, pensions, the government. Rich Dad expects himself to protect his future. He does not depend on others to build security. He builds it. Wealth begins the moment you stop expecting others to rescue you. Ultimately, Rich Dad, Poor Dad teaches that wealth is not the result of luck, intelligence, or background, but the result of mindset, habits, and emotional courage. Wealth begins the moment you stop depending on external certainty and start building internal capability. You do not need to be born rich to become rich. You need to think in a way that makes wealth inevitable. Practical ways to apply this in real life. If you close this video and do nothing, then this summary becomes entertainment. To make it transformation, Here's how to apply these principles right now. In real daily life, even if you don't have huge money, degrees, or opportunities. Start by seeing your financial life differently. Instead of asking, how do I earn more? Ask, how do I build something that earns while I sleep? That mindset shift alone changes the decisions you make. Next, track what goes into your pocket and what goes out of your pocket. Take 1 week and write down every expense. Then highlight anything that is not necessary or is simply a liability feeding emotion instead of purpose. Awareness is the first step to rebuilding financial direction. Then set a simple rule. Before buying anything that feels like an emotional decision, clothes, gadgets, lifestyle, ask yourself, will this move me closer to freedom or further from freedom? Awareness creates discipline. Also, begin learning about assets even if you cannot purchase them yet. You can study real estate before owning a property. You can learn about investing before you invest a penny. You can learn negotiation before you negotiate a business deal. You build capability before building profit. And finally, practice emotional courage. Each week, do one uncomfortable thing that develops your independence. Maybe public speaking, maybe communicating honestly, maybe learning a financial concept you used to ignore. The brain adaptively grows when exposed to discomfort with patience. Doing these things turns lessons into progress and books into transformation. If this deeper, more human exploration of Rich Dad, Poor Dad gave you something meaningful, then support this channel by liking the video and subscribing. It tells YouTube that thoughtful content deserves visibility, and it helps others discover these insights as well. Comment below which book you want me to break down next with the same level of depth, clarity, and practical application.